Today we're going to paint a rose, starting with the lightest lights and then moving into the darks. So let's get started. So many of us are home. Oh, I said I was going to start from the darkest darks to the lightest lights, but actually I did the opposite. What I'm putting in here is a triad of Naples yellow, alizarin crimson, and a little bit of cerulean blue. This is going on instead of masking fluid. I don't use masking fluid. Not that I think there's anything wrong with it, but I am a klutz with it. Whenever I use it and then try to take it off, it looks like I've ripped a Band-Aid off of a scab. So I paint around my whites, or what I'm doing here is preserving them. So I'm squinting my eyes and only looking at those whites on the rose and putting those in. Now I know that it doesn't look white now, but it will because I'm going to adjust all the other values so that that becomes white. So dry everything, and now I get down to what I consider the real business. I have to really plug in here, which is a great thing to do, especially when things from the outside world seem particularly anxious. This is a great thing to do. So I'm mixing paint on the side, and I'm going to I have to establish where my darks are. So just like I did with my lights, I squint my eyes as much as I can, and I look at my darks. I think I have I'm pretty sure I have a number 12 flat here. I put in the original lights with a round brush. With a round brush, I have more sensitivity, but now I need to get to the structure. Whenever I think of structure, I think of a flat brush. So now I'm putting in the darks, only the dark shapes. And I'm using a couple of colors here, probably alizarin crimson and some sort of a rose, a permanent rose probably, and maybe even a little bit of cadmium red in there too. That's what I talk about when I talk about mass for value, mix for color. I'm always trying to use, if I can use 3 colors to accomplish one task, I'm going to do it. If I can use 2 colors, that's great too. But I try more than anything not to use 1 color to accomplish one task. Now I need to establish the darks. And so I'm going in and putting in the darks in the foliage. Again, I'm just looking at shapes. And I always say, nobody needs to paint like me. I mean, this is just something that I love to do. I like to be able to simplify forms. I respond to paintings that have as few strokes as possible. And oh boy, there's some painters out there that can, do this in what appears to be like 10 strokes. That's my goal. My goal is to play basically painting golf, to use as few strokes as possible to accomplish my task. That's probably the worst metaphor ever, but I do think that way. I think I dried everything, or enough time passed. Now it's time to put in the midtones. So the only rule here when it comes to midtones is nothing can be as dark as what I already put in as my darks, and nothing can be as light as whatever I put in for my initial lights. And if I can do that, then this rose should read as a 3-dimensional form. I do leave some of the whites of the paper white, and I decide that before I ever start working. I've done a lot of painting for a lot of years. I'm a daily painter, and so I can look at those spots and just know in my own head I've taken care of them. I don't even know how to explain that other than to say, they're just not on my radar at this point. Again, using 3 colors to accomplish one task. This is probably a little bit of cadmium yellow and light, um, mm, um, cadmium red, and an orange. Yeah, I usually mix my own orange, but I felt lazy today, and I was using orange from the tube. Oh gosh, some days you're really plugged in and you want to do all the deep hard work, and some days you just, those days when you just say, I don't care what I paint, just give me something to paint. I need to paint. Yeah, these days that's kind of where I am. I have to have something to paint. I plan that the night before, and then the next day I get up and I'm ready to go. If I really can't paint, I can't access that creative side of my brain because of anxiety and what's happening in the world, or just fatigue, then I'll do a jigsaw puzzle. But jigsaw puzzles are really similar in the same way that you're looking at overall shape and value. That's all you're doing with a jigsaw puzzle. I think I'm pretty good at them because of the painting work that I do. I just can match shape and color pretty well. I don't know what you do with that skill out in the real world. I'm not sure it's a marketable skill, but I seem to have developed it. So there's that. All right, dry everything. And, it's pretty well established right here, but it definitely looks unfinished. So let's see, I can't remember. Oh, I know. As I always say in paintings, you know, if you have no neutrals, if everything is color, then nothing is color. So I always like to reserve some spots to put some neutrals in. Now these are going to be sort of mid-tone neutrals, which I've mixed from colors I've already used in the painting. I think it's really important to use colors you've already used in the painting so that it really integrates and goes together well. I never bring a color or mix a color near the end of the painting that hasn't appeared somewhere in the painting before. It will just look odd. It'll look like a, you know, the wrong note on a piano scale or something. So it's really important to stay consistent, at least to my eye. You know, it took me a lot of years to be able to see that. I used to paint and, you know, and then throw in a cerulean blue sky at the very end. And if I hadn't used enough cerulean in the painting, it now when I look at those paintings, oh my gosh, it's so jarring to me. It seems so obvious, but you know, learning is painting is a journey. You know, you do the best you can where you are, and as the years go by, you usually get better at doing this stuff. So, in conclusion, paint when you can, because of, you know, it just brings so much joy. Remember to keep the whites of your paper white, your paints wet, mass for value, mix for color, and please join my YouTube channel. And I'll see you next time. Oh, and we're just going to finish up here with this is the original triad that I started with: cerulean blue, and a permanent rose and a little bit of Naples yellow. And I think I come back and give that a second coat because, of course, once it dries, you know, everything gets a little bit lighter. But you know that if you've watched this and are doing well with watercolor, you know all that stuff already. All right, see you next time. Bye bye.